often do you talk to yourself in a way you would never speak to someone else? It's strange, isn't it? How we can be caring, generous, even wise with others, yet our self-talk can turn harsh, impatient, and sometimes even cruel. If you've been following this series, you may already recognize this voice, the one we've called the inner roommate. And if you're new here, just notice how familiar this voice in the head feels. But let me ask you this. If our self-criticism actually worked, wouldn't we be happier and more at peace by now? Today, we're stepping into something that quietly transforms the second half of life. One of the most essential skills for aging consciously. Changing how we relate to ourselves. And that begins with cultivating self-compassion. As we move into our third acts, our roles change, our bodies age, and the usual certainties disappear. And in the quieter days that follow, this familiar inner voice often becomes harder to ignore. Self-compassion offers another way. When we have self-compassion towards ourselves, we're able to meet difficulty with kindness rather than criticism, responding to our challenges and frustrations with care instead of judgment. And, paradoxically, that's what actually allows growth to happen. The first step is simply acknowledging when something is hard without comparing it to someone else's struggle. Just stop arguing with reality and simply name it. This is painful. This is difficult. This isn't about believing the voice. It's about noticing what's happening without immediately judging yourself for it. And once we name it, the next question becomes, how will I respond to the reality of this moment now that I've identified it? It's not uncommon to default to the familiar voice of your younger self. You remember, the one who believed pressure creates improvement. But what if your inner roommate is just doing its job in those moments, protecting you like it always has? Because protecting you is its only focus, this voice tends to speak first and speak loudest. It was never meant to help us make wise choices, though. But at this stage of life, we really need kindness, real kindness, so we can become our own safe place to land. Because kindness creates safety, and when the nervous system settles, the inner roommate no longer senses the need to be in charge. Instead, your soul, your deepest knowing, is now in the driver's seat. So here's what kindness sounds like. Of course, this is hard. Everyone in this season of life struggles at times. No need to rush. You'll get there. You know, we live in a very heady culture. Most of us spend our lives living from the neck up. And when we live there, we miss the uncomplicated softness that comes from dropping down into the body and living through the heart. It's my experience that when we're rooted in the body, especially in the heart, self-compassion becomes more automatic. The breath deepens, the body relaxes, the nervous system settles. This is heart coherence, where the heart, brain, and nervous system begin working together. You can experience this right now by letting your attention drop from your head into the center of your chest and offering yourself a simple phrase. May I be kind to myself in this moment, or may I meet this season of life with gentleness. This is what safety feels like. And over time, as self-compassion becomes less of an effort and more your baseline, how you respond to stress, uncertainty, and aging itself begins to change. A steady return to inner alignment. Now that's heart coherence living. When the inner roommate is critical or judgmental, that tone becomes the lens through which we see the world. Now, we may not act unkindly, but we interpret and assume and judge from that same inner mindset. But here's the good news. When something shifts in your inner world, When you begin meeting yourself with compassion instead of criticism, that same shift naturally extends outward. Have you ever noticed that when you're hard on yourself, it becomes almost impossible not to be hard on others too? I've noticed this in my own life. The more kindness and acceptance I offer myself, the more gently I'm able to treat others. And this, my friend, is the quiet power of self-compassion. Here's a simple practice you can use to listen more closely to what's happening beneath the surface. It's called automatic writing. You want to grab a pen and a piece of paper and write down your inner dialogue exactly as it appears. Like taking dictation. No editing, no judging, just honesty. And when the writing slows down, read back what you've written and notice the tone. Now, that noticing alone is already powerful. But if you'd like to go one step further, try responding to the thoughts in a more loving way. As we close, I invite you to place your hand over your heart, bringing your attention there. If there's even a small sense of relaxation or release, that's not accidental. That's called meeting yourself with kindness. And from here, we're ready for the next step. Learning how to gently question the stories the mind tells. See you on the next video.